What's up, guys? Welcome to Quick Bix Reviews. Mando's N1 Starfighter, set number 75325. I just knocked over the box. With the release of Boba Fett, Return of Mando episode, we saw his new ship. A slew of MOCs came up with some incredible detail that were faithfully recreated to the show spec. But how does LEGO compare? This set exploded. Not just the set, this design, I should say. The N1 design, a classic. Personally, and this might be controversial, I really enjoy the original? The prequel trilogy, that's what it's called. I had to think for a second there. I really enjoy it. I know it gets a lot of hate with the politics and the Jar Jars and everything else. But the design of these ships, of the Naboo ships, was amazing compared to what we'd seen previously in Star Wars. Now, how does LEGO compare to the creators on your Instagrams, on your YouTubes, who built their own MOCs of the Starfighter? Let's take a look. Let's start with the box art. I think it's great personally. I like that it shows the ship flying in motion. You've got the minifigures on display on the front, which I have some issues with that we'll get onto later with them. We've got Boba Fett and the like on the front. The back of the box shows the ship in Palimoto's hangar bay, I guess, being worked on by the team. Baby Yoda, fan favourite, can't fault it. It's pretty good box art. I don't mind it at all. Some people say LEGO miss with the box art. Personally, I think it's pretty good. Sorry about the audio interruption there. I'm just trying to pull out the manual, which is a interesting choice. They put a lifeless cover on the manual. It just shows the N1 Starfighter on a plain background. Normally they recreate the box art on the manuals, but in this case they have not. It's just the cover of the manual, it's not a big deal. Just a bit strange. Ultimately, it's not important. There's 3 bags, a few stickers, and that completes everything in the box. When it comes to the build, you start with the hull and build out from there. Mando's N1 fighter quickly takes form. The scale is surprisingly large, and for its price, it is skirting very close to being expensive. You're getting the classic LEGO Star Wars tax here. You move on to the tail, which is well created, as Din's tail has missing panel pieces on it. They've recreated that well. It's not flimsy at all. It feels good. The tail piece itself is made of rubber, which was interesting, as opposed to plastic. It's not a fault or anything. I just thought it was interesting. From there, we build out the wings, and just something doesn't quite fit right. I don't know if it's because of the scale, if it's because of the choice of bricks, if it just doesn't fit quite right in this scale. But there are many details moving on from that down the side of the ship that pay homage to show the different colours, that show glimpses of the original yellow paint job that the Naboo Starfighters had, which is a very cool little touch. And from there, once you've built out the wings, you build out the engines. These are the highlight of the ship for me. While some MOCs have done a great job, these are very well made, surprisingly solid, surprising amount of detail. They do look very good for the scale, for the size. They attach with the Technics pins. They match the fighter pretty well. The tails, I'm going to call them, of the engines don't go as far as they probably should when you look at a traditional N1 Starfighter. I don't know if that's because it's a hot-rodded version and that's what the show has described. I will have to double check. After double checking, you can see the image on screen. The tails should definitely be longer out of the ship, but apart from that, the engines are good, they're solid, they look right. It's just a matter of the scale, I think, which is a problem. Overall, once the ship is built, it does look good. It's obvious what it is from the source material. The engines are great. The air-cooled top mount does push down, which shoots off the little brick bullet, I guess. It's a good overall ship. It's a bit large for kids to just play with, I would say. They probably need to make another one that's a little bit smaller in scale. The minifigures are great. They Din gets a face finally, which looks great. His printing's well detailed. A couple of issues with his minifigures. The jetpack it comes with is the incorrect colour. Should have been silver. And this is a personal huge nitpick for me. The Darksaber is clearly important to Mandalorian. It is almost a character in its own in the show overall, you know, with it, you know, who owns it rules Mandalore. It just feels like putting a black lightsaber into a traditional lightsaber hilt is underselling something that's going to continue being important in the show, and I think if they just made a mold for that, it would be great. But overall, it's a pretty decent figure, and it's great to finally have Din's face. Peli Moto is really good. She's wearing an appropriate outfit with good details. She's got two faces, so printed on both sides of the head, so you can have her doing different things. I do have another issue with her, is the hairpiece is much too large. She's got much shorter hair in the show. Whether that's nitpicking or not, I'll leave that up to you. Comes with a BD droid and Grogu, which are fine. It would have been nice to have some pit droids and stuff thrown in there, especially at this price point, just to make it feel a little bit better at the value proposition. But overall, the minifigures are what you'd expect. When I was sort of flying it around, having a bit of a play with it, and I found that the extra engine that they put on under the ship, it does come off quite easily, which is frustrating, and a minor tweak to that design would have meant that the engine could clip in not only horizontally but vertically and hold that in place, which would have been easy. It also has the firing mechanism, which works well, looks good, and I think it's quite clever. There's a cockpit for Grogu and a cockpit for Mando. Overall, it's a good set. The pros for this, the engine detail I think is a pro. Mando finally gets a face. The ship itself, I love the ship. As I say, I'm of the generation that grew up with the prequel trilogy, and I really like them. Except the second movie. I'm not going to get into it here. There's very few stickers, which is another pro. They've used bricks for the details instead of relying on stickers. When it comes to cons, the scale just feels off. It needs more flow, some more curves. It just feels like it's lacking something. It feels like it could be lacking some detail in this scale, because Lego can do a lot more in the bigger sets. The other big con for me is the Darksaber is just wrong. They should do a custom mold for the Darksaber. Overall, I'm very conflicted in giving this a score. I really enjoyed building it. Mando gets a face, having Grogu's cool. The N1's iconic already after only being in 1 or 2 episodes, but it just doesn't feel right. The value proposition's not quite there. A few of these complaints, I'm going with a 6. And let me know what you think in the comments. I've got nothing else to say. Some people love the set, people are divided. Hit like if you agree, or even if you disagree. You can still like the video and let me know what you think in the comments. You know, I'll be in there. We'll go back and forth on why you like it or dislike it, agree or disagree. Otherwise, subscribe, check us out. Thanks for watching.